Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely change how you look at the beautiful game. You see, modern football has morphed from a local sporting event into a highly engineered, multi-billion-dollar financial ecosystem. You might think the real action happens out there on the pitch, but the actual game, that's being played in spreadsheets, holding companies, and political back channels. So let's kick things off with what might sound like a bizarre question. What on earth do a £76 million luxury hotel, a United Nations political race, and high-level sports betting math have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a weird joke, right? Well, they're actually the master keys to our topic today. These seemingly random things represent the data, the financial loopholes, and the geopolitics pulling the strings behind the sport. They are literally the hidden engines dictating who wins, who loses, and most importantly, who profits. Let's dig into exactly how this all works, starting from the ground up. Section 1. The data-driven underdogs. We're starting at the micro level. Think about the smaller clubs fighting back against these massive financial titans using pure, unadulterated math. If you can't outspend the giants, you gotta outsmart them. A perfect example is the philosophy of Brentford FC owner Matthew Benham. He famously pointed out that competition tables are actually hugely inaccurate just because of pure luck and randomness. By applying a strict algorithmic model, Benham cuts right through that noise. While most people panic if a team drops into the relegation zone, he just checks the data to see if they were, well, mathematically unlucky. And honestly, taking this data-driven approach is just an absolute necessity for survival these days. Just consider the 2024-2025 season. There is a mind-blowing revenue gap. We're talking over £300 million between the elite Big Six clubs and the data-driven clubs, who are affectionately dubbed the nerds, like Brentford and Brighton. You just can't compete with a £300 million handicap using old-school traditional scouting. It's impossible. So to bridge that massive gap, Benham leaned into his pretty unique background. He's actually a former physicist and a former VP at Bank of America, who then went on to found Smart Odds, which is a statistically based betting model. He basically took high finance principles and applied them to his childhood club. Imagine a Wall Street quantitative analyst optimizing your local team's attack. For instance, he doesn't just care about how many goals a striker scores. He judges them on the mathematical quality of the chances they create. By exploiting these kinds of market inefficiencies, he invested £100 million and successfully dragged Brentford all the way to the Premier League. Section 2. Football's shadow balance sheets. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do the elite clubs maintain their financial dominance and avoid regulatory ruin when they are spending so aggressively? Well, enter the PSR player swap loophole. This whole thing relies on an accounting trick called amortization. When a club sells a player, they get to claim that entire fee as immediate profit on their books. But when they buy a player, they spread that cost, or amortize it, over a period of up to 5 years. So, two clubs can just agree to swap players at artificially inflated prices, let's say £60 million. Boom! Both clubs instantly book a massive £60 million profit to keep the regulators happy, while essentially just kicking the actual debt down the road. And when swapping players isn't quite enough, clubs get incredibly creative with real estate. The sources highlight Chelsea using a related party asset transaction, where they sold the Millennium and Copthorne hotels for £76.5 million. But here's the catch. They sold them to their own sister company. It's kind of like selling your own house to yourself to pay off your credit card bill. But on paper, that internal shuffle recognized the profit as revenue, slicing a massive regulatory loss right down to a compliant level.
But here's the thing, even with all this clever accounting, cash flow in football is wildly irregular. Clubs have bills due every single day, but their big paydays from broadcast rates and transfer fees, those arrive in staggered installments over years. To survive this squeeze, clubs rely heavily on a shadow banking tool known as receivables finance. Think of it as a payday loan for billionaires. They literally sell their future scheduled income to a lender for upfront cash today, taking a bit of a discount.
And this practice has built up into a massive hidden banking ecosystem. After the pandemic, traditional banks basically pulled back from football lending because of strict regulations. Naturally, private credit jumped right in to fill that void. Now, unlike your standard bank loan that comes with super strict terms and overarching security, this transfer fee factoring is treated as highly secure corporate debt. The shadow lender doesn't really care about the selling club's risk. They're looking at the ironclad creditworthiness of the massive club that's buying the player. To really grasp the sheer scale of the shadow lending, wrap your head around this number: £3 billion. That is the amount of funding handed out by just one single opaque lender, rights and media funding, to Premier League clubs, We are talking about a massive alternative economy operating completely out of sight of everyday fans.
Section 3. The multi-club ownership era.
All right, zooming out from the individual club loopholes, we find private equity treating these teams as just nodes in massive global portfolios. The reality here is actually pretty shocking. For the 2025-26 season, nearly 48% of clubs in Europe's Big Five leagues are now wrapped up in a multi-club ownership, or MCO structure. The era of the single, independent, locally owned football club, it's rapidly coming to an end. And this massive wave of consolidation is being fueled by institutional investors, specifically private equity and venture capital firms. They have poured over 10 billion euros into European football just since 2016. Make no mistake, football is no longer just a rich person's vanity project. It's a high-yield asset class. And from their perspective, the MCO model makes ruthless financial sense. Owning just one club is incredibly volatile, right? I mean, if they get relegated, you lose everything. But an MCO structure spreads that risk across a diversified portfolio. Plus, these ownership groups can centralize their back office functions and data analytics to create massive economies of scale. They can establish global talent pipelines to develop players cheaply in-house, and crucially, they can go to blue-chip brands and sell network-wide sponsorships, offering a global reach that absolutely no single club could ever match. Section 4. Geopolitics on the pitch. Finally, let's pull all the way back to the ultimate macro level. We've talked about data and high finance, but what happens when global geopolitics collide directly with the refereeing on the actual pitch? Well, a major controversy erupted during the 2026 World Cup knockout stages, and our sources show it raised some very serious questions about whether external, off-pitch political pressures are actively influencing the outcomes of the world's biggest matches. Right after Egypt's dramatic 3-0 loss to defending champion Argentina, the Egyptian coach Hassan Hassan gave a completely explosive press conference. He claimed blatant double standards, directly accusing the referee of robbing his nation, and even suggested there was external pressure to keep Argentina's Lionel Messi in the tournament. The situation escalated so much that the Egyptian Football Federation formally requested the total expulsion of the French officiating team. To back up their claims, the Egyptian Federation cited several specific, unreviewed incidents as evidence of discrimination designed to protect Argentina's title defense. They pointed to Mustafa Zico's early goal, which was controversially disallowed for a foul, and then Zico actually getting a yellow card just for his celebration. They also highlighted penalty claims for Mohamed Salah that were completely ignored, and a crucial pull by Argentina's Alexis McAllister that didn't even get a VAR check. Now consider another factual sequence of events from the exact same tournament, where the pitch and global politics really seem to blur. In the round of 32, U.S. player Folarin Balogun received a red card. Shortly after that happened, U.S. President Donald Trump placed a direct call to FIFA President Gianni Infantino. Then, utilizing a specific disciplinary code, FIFA actually suspended Balogun's punishment for a 1-year probation, which allowed him to play the entire crucial round of 16 match against Belgium. And in the aftermath, just weeks later, Trump announced that the U.S. government would back Infantino in a United Nations Secretary General selection process. It's a pretty stark timeline where sports and geopolitical leverage clearly intertwine. So, as we wrap up this explainer, let's look at the big picture we've uncovered today. Between algorithmic data models, shadow balance sheets, private equity portfolios, and geopolitical maneuvering, we really have to ask ourselves, what does the future hold? When every single kick of the ball is tied to real estate securitization and international political leverage, is it still the beautiful game we all grew up with? Or has it simply become the world's most entertaining, high-yield asset class? Definitely something to think about the next time you sit down to watch a match. Thanks for hanging out with us, and always keep questioning what you see on the screen.